Finding truth in a world of lies. You are listening to the John Age Project.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the Anomic Age, and I am your host, John Age. We're going to run this play one more time, and then we're going to call it a night. I'll be taking you into the dark side of the AM, hailing proudly from the coastal plains of the old North State. I'll be your tour guide this evening as we take a somewhat satirical journey down the path of murder, destruction, mayhem, and the extermination of human life on this planet. A forced march into obsolescence thrust upon us by a global satanic death cult of pedophiles. Check out anomicage.com if you've not already done so. Please like all the likes and subscribe to all the subscriptions. PayPal.me/anomicage, Patreon.com/anomicage as well. Those are the best ways that you can help me out. Those are the best ways that you can contribute to this show. So if you can do no more, please do that. I would love to get some patrons, get some donations, and get some help around here. That'd be nice. Maybe to God, we could get a totally different platform. And maybe to God, we could just get a producer to run the board on this thing. Because it seems to me like we got some sort of gremlins. Some gremlins. I don't think they're gremlins from the Kremlin. I think they're gremlins de los Estados Unidos. But perhaps I am mistaken. You never can tell. Nevertheless, thanks for tuning in to the Anomic Age. I'm happy to be with you. Oh, my goodness. Thanks for listening and tuning in no matter where you happen to be. Here you are, and here I am. So we'll make the most of it. Technology be damned. We're going to have a show tonight. If I have to do a puppet show or just do some silhouettes on the shade, a little soft shoe dance for you, we're going to do a show tonight one way or the other. You know, the funny thing is, the real hilarious thing is, I wasn't even amped up about doing this show about an hour and a half ago. Earlier today, I had everything all set. I was ready to roll tonight. And then I got a call from a family member who told me some very disturbing news. I'll just leave it at that. And I went into a little bit of a tailspin. I ain't going to be bull buttering with you. Went into a little bit of a tailspin just on the information provided. And I'm still not over it, to be honest with you. And I was back and forth on whether or not I wanted to do this show for like the last hour. And then even going into this show, I was a little bit ambivalent. But after the technical difficulties, I'll be damned if this show doesn't go off. Because you see, I'm a real stubborn SOB. And all you got to say is you can't, and I will. So we will be having this damn show tonight, one way or the other. We are going to have the Anomic Age, one way or the other. And we are going to cover the topics that I've outlined and laid out for you this evening, one way or the other. Title of tonight's episode: American Struggle Sessions. It's that old song by the Four Skins. Seems to me there's nothing new anymore. Seems to me it's all been done before. And as I was kind of collecting my thoughts today and doing the obligatory notes for the day, the show this evening, I couldn't help but just keep thinking about it. This has all been done before. This stuff's all in flux. It's always changing. And as the Four Skins so aptly said over 30 years ago, it has been done before. As the Bible told us thousands of years before that. There's nothing new under the sun. Remember that? Nothing new under the sun. If you want a new idea, read an old book. You know, we could go back and forth on this all day and all night, but we shan't. So as I look at the political landscape, and dare I say the socio-political landscape in the last few days, I mean, I could get up here and bloviate on about the usual suspect, Horse Pucky, the Charlie Kirk snipe hunt that just keeps on keeping on, the new Tammy Faye Baker, and that'd be Erica Kirk. We could discuss the joke that is the old North State, because we got commie fruit bats gnashing teeth, rending garments, and I guess just tearing their hair out because ICE is in Charlotte doing their blipping job. They're rounding up illegals. And I kind of vacillate back and forth on this one because I think to myself sometimes, you know, this is a good thing. To paraphrase Taxi Driver, although its star makes me semi-nauseous now, that midget. But anyway, to paraphrase Taxi Driver, maybe one day a real rain will come down and wash all of the scum off the street. I think that's what we need. I'm just not so sure we need it in the form of a paramilitary, or that'll do till the paramilitary gets here on the street, a la ICE, rounding up illegal immigrants. Because here's the deal, folks. It's a slippery, slippery slope. And just as the false flag of 9/11 ushered in the police state of the early 2000s, oh, now you got to get a TSA agent all over the airport. You got to get felt up or x-rayed up before you can get on the plane, you know? Like we needed that Horse Pucky. Which ushered in the Patriot Act, the most non-patriotic act I can almost think of. I think we've been actually outdone by that since then, but I digress. So just as that slippery slope ushered in the satanic police state of the early 2000s, of which we are still living in today, it's kind of that old enemy of the enemy is my friend thing. I remember, you know, about 10 years ago, I'll say 10, I don't think it was quite 15, Elon Musk was everybody's favorite villain. Ooh, he was demonic and bad. Because he was ushering in Neuralink and all this sort of AI-based technology. But then the enemy of the enemy is my friend, because once Trump ushered him into the White House, and his son too, then he was everybody's flavor of the month, right? Soup of the day, flavor of the month. Good song by the Vandals, I must say. But I digress a little bit further. So he was everybody's soup de jour as long as he was on your side of the tyranny. So I wonder if that's not what we are seeing here again. Because as we all should have known with the false flag of 9/11 and all the tyranny that followed, the real enemy wasn't some boob wearing pajamas and a funny hat in a cave. You know, that wasn't really the enemy. The enemy was always the American people. They just had to have the guise of the enemy be some boob in a funny hat and pajamas on. So then everybody go, oh yeah, let's go get them. Because good propaganda always marginalizes, demonizes, and relegates the enemy. That's the plan. That's always the plan. Look at any propaganda for the last 100 years. World War I, World War II, right on and on and on. It's always marginalize the enemy through the propaganda, right? So they marginalize the enemy with the false flag of 9/11, and lo and behold, allegedly, New York City has elected some Muslim boob who looks a heck of a lot more like a Jewish boob the more you look at him, don't you know? It's kind of like those stupid pictures that used to be in all the malls. You stand there and stare at them for a minute, and this melange of nothing turns into a sailboat. It's not a schooner, it's a sailboat, stupid head. Remember that? So I wonder if we're not just living through that too. The enemy's not them, it's you, stupid head. Okay? The enemy's not the Muslim, it's the greatest ally, stupid head. Who could that be? So I got to wonder to myself if that's not, in fact, exactly what we're going through right about now. All that's just a sort of an aside from the struggle sessions, don't you see? Because the struggle sessions go a lot like this. Can we put that on the screen, or is that too much to ask? So the struggle sessions, John. How's that relevant to today, you might say? Well, you got to look at the history. Remember what I said? If you want a new idea, look at an old book. Look at the history just a little bit. And look at Mao Zedong. Remember that guy that we put in power? Remember that? Remember how they were not a trade partner at all? And then Nixon makes it so. Funny how some countries, the communists, are just persona non grata, Cuba. And some countries, the communists, are just, I guess, trade partners. China. Isn't that funny? Funny how that works out, isn't it? So, if you look at the Maoist revolution, or more specifically, the aspect of it they termed the Cultural Revolution in the mid to late 60s. There was a little thing going on, and they were called struggle sessions. Stop me if this makes too much sense for you, or actually begins to make some connections on your proverbial board. Stop me now. So how the struggle sessions work, I say work because they're still going on. They're just now happening here in Los Estados Unidos. Land of the sheep, home of the slave. The effervescent weakness that is America. Just unstoppable, irascible weakness of the American people. They just fell headlong into the wood chipper that is the Cultural Revolution, a la the red, white, and blue version. See, everything that's already going on there is what they want to lay out for you here. You notice the social credit score? People act like they just pulled that out of their Chinese hat. They pulled that out of the American hat with the Dragonfly program and Google. Who do you think funded all that and brought it there? It's the same myopic stupidity of the people that try to claim that, oh, Hitler. Hey, stupid. Everything that you claim Hitler was doing, he got it from us, you big dummies. Eugenics, anyone? You think Hitler pulled that out of his red rear? No. No. So, a little bit more edification is what you're saying, John. Cultural Revolution, Mao, struggle sessions. So what was really going down then and now is that they would have the youngsters. It was the school age youngsters, don't you know, that ushered in the Cultural Revolution. Here again, we draw parallels because the Red Guard was China. The black shirts was Mussolini, and the brown shirts was Hitler, the worst guy in the world. You sure about that? So we got to draw those parallels because where'd they get this from? Do you think they were fawning over colors and they were just picking them out of the hat? Mussolini had the black shirts. I know what, I'm going to go with brown. And then Mao scratched his chinny chin and said, I'm going to go with red. I digress. Red shirts, the youngsters, the young whippersnappers. It's that old saying, the teenager will always cut his teeth on the bones of the old. And I suppose that's exactly what the young whippersnappers were doing there in Mao land. And you see the same parallels today because this generation's all too quick to castigate, mock, and otherwise thumb their noses at every other generation that ain't them. Most particularly, it's the boomers. It's the boomers. All the faults of the world, I suppose, rest upon the shoulders of the boomers. Great way to take no responsibility for yourself. Great way to play the victim card. Have we seen that anywhere before? Have we seen that rampant right, left, center in our current society over the last 20 plus years? Victim card, victim card. Let's hold up our victim card. I'm a woman of color. I'm a man that's queer. I'm a person of illegal immigrant status. Jazz hands. All this horse pucky, folks. It's victim carddom. It's the same sort of abdicate my responsibility. It's all the boomers' fault. That's the problem, man. Yeah. And the same was true in the Cultural Revolution with the struggle sessions. So they would get the youngsters in there and they would have set up questions and they would basically bait the oldsters into responses. And then they would castigate them and wag their little finger and say, ooh, you're just wrong. And they would have all the orthodoxy behind them. And by orthodoxy, I mean the Maoist little red book. So these bozos would carry around this literal little red book full of hundreds of Mao quotes. And if you didn't repeat back verbatim the right verse from the quote book, well, you would be persona non grata. You would be off to the death camp. You would be continually shunned in the society. And this whole exercise in urinating in the wind was basically just to get everyone on the side of the right. Or in that nightmare society, on the side of Mao. So it was a way psychologically to break the society because you didn't want to step out of line, because if you did, then you would get the finger wag, then you would get called out in the town square, then you would get disappeared to a camp. Everybody would laugh at you. They're all going to laugh at you. They're all going to laugh at you. Remember from Carrie? That's the essence of the struggle sessions. You could even draw parallels between the struggle sessions of communist China and shunning in the Amish community. Oh, we're going to shun you. We're all going to turn our backs on you and pretend you're not real anymore because you did something out of orthodoxy. And this should draw a bleep of a lot of parallels to the Pharisees, the legalists of the Bible. You didn't follow this code to the letter. You didn't repeat back the orthodoxy out of the book. We will shun you forever. Same playbook, folks. Same playbook. Nothing new under the sun. It's just all psychology. It's breaking the will of the people. That's what it's all about. It ain't the hokey pokey. It's a struggle session. So you got to break the will of the people, figuratively, metaphorically, and literally, if you actually chose to continue to step out of orthodoxy, then you would really be disappeared to a foreign gulag. You hope, or they could just kill you at the edge of a pit. So that was the essence of the struggle sessions. It was calling people out, chastising people, virtue signaling to the 10th power. Because everybody thought virtue signaling was some new invention about 10, 15 years ago. Oh my gosh, where'd this come from? Oh, I don't know. And the people didn't know because they went through the K through 12 indoctrination, college, university weaponization, aka our public indoctrination camps. And remember, the real plan is to elongate this. Remember old Hills wanted camps for adults so that they could be properly brainwashed too. This was the essence of struggle sessions. The struggle sessions were for the adults, you dummies. The struggle sessions were never for the young because they'd already baited the young in their own version of the K through 12 indoctrination. They had already been stolen away, basically, at birth by the Maoist Cultural Revolution to be brainwashed. Brainwashed to what end, you might ask, dear John? They were brainwashed to think that their parents were idiots. They were brainwashed to think that there is no God other than Mao. They were brainwashed to think that there is no truth other than the little red book of Maoist orthodoxy. Is this breaking any bounds for anybody, ringing any bells? It should be, because that's exactly what happens here in America. You're pulled away from dear old mom and dad at about age 5, and you're run through this gauntlet of garbage for 13 plus years before you even decide, I wonder if I want to waste another 5 years at university and college. I mean, after all, you get force-fed this driblet line of pablum like you can never survive, you can never get a job. You'll be forever relegated under the mental dustbin of a dullard if you dare say, I don't want to go to college, university, and get mentally raped for another 4 years. See, they trained you to think that if you don't follow suit, you're a dullard, idiot, moron. So they got you for another 4 years. And the next 4 or 5 years, it's 5. Please don't be stupid and think it's 4. It's 5. The next 5 years is all about the weaponization of the brainwashing that they'd already put into your brain for the 13 years. And what does that really mean? Well, just like, man, I've talked about this so many times on this show, man. Just like the trauma-based mind control, just like the Bitterman coercion chart. If you missed all the shows on the Bitterman coercion chart, you should probably look into it. The Bitterman coercion chart is basically exactly the playbook of the PSYOP 19 rollout. Separates you from family, separates you from your tribe, and then puts you in this AI, basically, because all university is an artificial reality. Way before the real AI that we know today. Walk on any campus, and you're going to really pick up on this. It's like wandering into It's a Small World, although the music is slowed down and everybody looks like a bunch of demonic head cases. Because the university system is not reality. It's an artificial reality. You're away from dear old mom and dad even further now because you've chosen to go away to school so you can really be imbued in the proper whoredom, in the proper alcoholism, and in the proper drug-addled idiocy that is the university system. See, you don't want to be near mom and dad because your name is a name that opens all doors. And if you besmirch that name of your family, you don't want to be close to mom and dad because then, maybe the village, the culture that raised you might castigate you in real time and do the invasion of the body snatchers and shriek at you and say, look at that piece of filth. My gracious goodness, now they've got a bunch of tattoos and nose rings and they got a pro-choice shirt on and clearly they're a heretic. So you got to get away from mom and dad. And then when you're really properly imbued in the cult of academia, the university, by the way, you will be challenged to actually hold true to your values, your family values, your own personal credo, and sweetly, any Christendom that you ever hoped you held dear. Because you're away from mom and dad, and now you're presented with a new ideologue. That's going to be the professor, the Mao, in the fake reality of non-religion and non-Christendom. The new God, the demigod, is the professor. And they're going to say, well, you're a snowball idiot head. If you believe that there is a God, if you dare to question evolution, if you dare to fall in line with anything, even remotely right of Mao, you're an idiot. Come follow me, little children. Come follow me. The old Pied Piper thing, except they're quite obviously leading the kids to their own doom, death, and demise. Spiritually, physically, intellectually. This is a cancer that I would say almost cannot be undone. A mental cancer, a spiritual cancer that is put into the children. Los niños. Remember, it's all for the kids. Everybody cries. It's not, folks. Anytime they say it's for the kids, keep in mind it's really to destroy, kill, maim them. That's really what it's all about. Because if you go into the cult of academia, you're taught that all this is normal, all this is cool. Sure, just cut off your breast. Sure, just cut off your penis. Oh, by the way, if we can just remove your forearm, we can create a fake, flaccid Potemkin penis for you. All vestigial. Won't work, but I mean, sure, it'll rot off in a couple weeks, but at least you've gone through the innate interpersonal struggle session of having your forearm removed. And having some sort of grotesque Iron Maiden cover for an arm now. Oh, gracious goodness sakes. So that is a extension of the American struggle session. But believe it or not, that's not even the point of tonight's show. No, it's not. So if you're digging what I'm putting down, great, because you ain't even hit pay dirt yet. Here we go. So the real of the deal is just this. Another aspect of the struggle sessions I would submit to you is the made-up duality, the made-up binary opposition that's really existed in this country for at least 60 plus years. Because if you really take a hard look at this whole thing, you got to look back at the 1960s. I've done so many shows about this, it's almost nauseating. Look back at the 1960s. I would submit to you that is the cornerstone decade that really shoved us off the cliff into the dystopian, nightmarish New World Order that we're in now. But how, John? Here's why and how. Because if you look at the 1960s, as I've covered on this show so many times, it's almost preposterous. It was all just a front, a facade, a hustle, a con, and a dodge. From stem to stern, folks. If you just take the blueprint of the Monkees, which I liked some of the Monkees stuff. I liked it when they reran it on Nick at Night, I believe, when I was a kid. And I really did like the Monkees stuff. But if you just look at the Monkees, the microcosm of the group the Monkees, that was pretty much the blueprint for everything you saw with the advent of rock and roll. And I'm talking about the advent and dissemination of rock and roll to the masses, to the mainstream audiences. I'm not talking about like some jukebox in Mississippi in 1955. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the exportation and exploitation of rock and roll to the masses. Was all just the Monkees. We've had shows on this as far as Tavistock Institute. You can see the same parallels with CIA in this country, where you saw the Beatles as clear of a psyop as you could possibly see. Seeing the Beatles as a constructed Monkees psyop, if you can't see that, I mean, you ain't going to see the sun on a clear day. You know what I'm saying? It ain't happening. And you could throw the same mess out there with the Led Zeppelins, with any American group that actually became prominent and the like, folks. Okay? And here's the feedback, pun intended, I'm going to get on this one, is that you're going to have people say, well, they played so well and it was great. Okay, I'm not talking about the musicianship of Jimmy Page. A clear occultist, Aleister Crowley, lived in the guy's house. For heaven's sakes, my goodness, do I have to draw all the pictures for you and just hold them up one by one and we just go through this? Can you see the sailboat? You know, I mean, good night, nurse, folks. It's just so preposterous after a while. But back to the point. So everything from the 60s on was, in essence, the Monkees. Okay? All of it. And the fake right and the fake left, that's the struggle sessions that really kind of kicked off in that era. Because if you look at the anti-war movement, and this is the images you're never going to see online. So if you look up Vietnam-era anti-war movement, you're not going to see this. But the actual anti-war movement in its inception was clean-cut Ozzie and Harriet guys with buzz cuts that looked like they fell out of 1955 out there just saying, hey, we don't want to go to another war. You know, the World War I was terrible. The Great War, we're never going to do that again. That was a bunch of prunes. Then World War II was awful. Well, we're not going to do that. Oh, well, maybe we'll just do Korea. Oh, well, looks like we're going to go into Vietnam after all. It's a war zone after all. It's a war zone. So the actual protesters were clean-cut guys with buzz cuts. And then it was co-opted. Oh, yeah, it was co-opted. Okay? Every movement was co-opted. The anti-war movement became the drug-addled, give peace a chance, peace sign, guys with long hair, chicks with no bra, everybody smoking weed, doing acid, and fornicating here, to, fro, and everywhere they happen to go. And then interject civil rights movement. Oh, what are we going to have here? Oh, I know. Just like Morals and Dogma, Albert Pike's great work. When they need a hero, one will be supplied for them. So we got the heroes to the left just popping up. Oh, the British invasion. Oh, we got the Rolling Stones, man. We got the Beatles, bro. They went from I want to hold your hand to I want to smoke some weed and be a big fat piece of trash. So they created the false duality, the right-left. They created the boomers. Or I don't even know. This would be the greatest generation. This wouldn't be the boomers. The greatest generation that was saying, oh, my gosh, we went to World War II for this. What the heck? All these long-haired freaks and all, the Archie Bunker types. Okay? So that became the polarization. The right-left paradigm became instilled during this time. And with the civil rights movement, they brought out Martin Luther King, clearly a compromised guy, and he became the face of the civil rights movement. He became the face of stirring things up, instigating violence, and promulgating the greater divide that would become the race riots of the latter half of the 1960s. And then you actually had the governors and mayors in these townships. I mean, if you want to look at the Watts riots, the Detroit riots, and so forth, the people that were actually in charge were just letting it happen, folks. Look into this with a little bit of a more focused lens, because everything that went on during the BLM riots and everybody gassed and guffawed and, oh, rend their garments, all that stuff, that's what happened then. And it was exactly the same kind of playbook. It was basically, let's just let these radicals, quote unquote, burn stuff down and destroy stuff. Because I'm pulling a paraphrase from Hitler here, but basically said, let the bombs fall, because it's easier to rebuild after everything has been decimated and burned to the ground than it is to tear everything down and rebuild. You need excuses. You need actual monies for that. If you just let the whole place get bombed to turds, if you just let the whole place burn to the ground and get ransacked by riotous trash, what are you going to do? Can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. Yeah, that's how it goes. The American Struggle Sessions. So what we saw out of that was the right-left. We saw the caricatures of the right-left, really. And those same caricatures, these tropes that have existed since the 1960s, have been continued to be pulled down the road, resurrected at every turn, and just turned up to 12, to paraphrase a little Spinal Tap, or up to 11, whatever it is, I can't remember. That's really what's going on here. So they've taken these same just remnants of a bygone era, and every few years they turn them up and they bring out the characters for the stupid kids that be the American people. They bring out the little puppets. Oh, I'm on the left, I'm doing this. Oh, I'm on the right, I'm doing that. They bring out the puppets for the sheep, and they just put out like a reincarnation of the puppets every few years. You can draw these same parallels to the horrors that they bring out about every 10 to 8 years, where you saw the whoredom from Madonna all the way into the more modern era of Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion and all this garbage. Who's that other piece of garbage that's like robbing guys and stuff, and she's still like free as a bird? I don't even remember. Here, it's just a side note. This is how fouled we are as a society. We're so fouled as a society now. We now have today, you cannot make this stuff up, folks. We now have Nicki Minaj out there talking to the UN for Trump. Nicki Minaj is, Nicki Minaj. I don't need to break down the name for you, do I, folks? I think we're all adults here. I think anyone with eyes to see and ears to hear knows the meaning of the name. This is who is speaking to the UN. You have to ask yourself, why would anyone be speaking to the UN? Trump and anyone in office should say, go jump in a lake. I got better things to do. I'd rather go play golf naked on speed or whatever it is than talk to anyone of the UN. Jeez Louise. And the other hilarity is people are they're so in search of a hero that they want to praise Trump for the most like normal stuff. But it's so normal that it's not normal. Like our society is so backwards that the most normal mundane things, it's like, oh my goodness, holy shnikes, he's taking care of his kids. Like what the? That's how screwed we are as a society. People are like, oh yeah, he's wanting to not defund completely, but just pull back some of the funds that go to foreign aid and pull back some of the funds to the UN. Some of the funds. Again, this is on par with the wife that's like, he only slaps me around when he's drinking. You know, he only slaps me around on the weekends. You know, he doesn't hit me on Sunday before church. No. That's how fouled we are in la cabeza as a society. Struggle sessions again. I'm sorry I keep backtracking. Somebody's already turned off the channel. You're losing sleep on this one. I know. So the struggle sessions have been created. If you don't believe anything I just said, please look into Operation Chaos. Please look into the COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program. These are just two of the most obvious that outline for you exactly what I said. The government will infiltrate groups of quote-unquote dissidents. They will put their people in charge, and they will run these programs. That's why there's nobody the FBI has ever caught, virtually, that they have caught on their own. They've caught them because they infiltrate these groups, and they bait people into doing crazy mess. You know, you really ought to do some bombings, you know. I know where you can get some bombs. So they do everything but say, like, here's the Wile E. Coyote plunger attached to 10 sticks of dynamite. They do everything except here's the plunger, push the plunger. I mean, that's why everything is such a setup, folks. It's all such a setup. That's why I'm never, ever a fan of any groups. So you join this organization and you too can fight the New World Order. Yeah, if you buy in that, man, you might as well just... Good grief. If you're buying into any of that BS, you might... What is that crap that they kept rolling out that was the most, like, fictitious BS, like Patriot Front or some mess like that? I don't even remember. Some crap like that where everybody was wearing a mask, you know, well-built with khakis and a navy blazer, you know, shirt or something, and we're a Patriot Front. Oh, my goodness gracious. I swear, I think who is they? They run the most lowbrow operations imaginable just to see how many brain-dead retards that they can get in the net. I think that's the real plan. Let's run the most lowbrow idiocy imaginable. And I guarantee you we'll get some retards in this plan. And they do every time. Every blipping time. Just spilled water all over the table. So I really see why people do that, you know? Like, I guess if you were hunting and if you just wanted to like stand by your truck at the edge of the woods and just like wait there long enough, you can bet there's going to be some deer that just walk out there and you're going to mow them down. That's kind of their who is there. That's their version of scooping up morons in America. Like, let's run an op with like the Patriot Front, and we're going to put them as this dissident organization. I mean, people laugh at this because it's so moronic, but then there's still people that are buying into Q. And there's still people that are buying into, what's that other crap? Anonymous. Ooh, Anonymous is going to reveal something to you. Good God. These are the same people that thought Ted Bundy was going to reveal something to him, too. He revealed something to you, all right? He revealed for you a quick trip to the other side. Tell you what, break on through. Doors of perception, right? Broke on through some of those doors of perception right into the other side. But the struggle sessions, again, folks, it was all a contrived right-left. It was all a contrived duality, binary opposition, whatever you want to call it. And the Albert Pike quote is so true, and I've really just been thinking about this so many days now, as it pertains to our modern social landscape. Because our modern social landscape is just a pile of refuse. And we have been reduced down to the most idiotic forms of life imaginable, where most people just wander around with their light box all day and push buttons. You know, it's very Pavlovian. It's very much like the Pavlov experiments, where I believe he had the pigeons and then the dogs, and they would hit a certain button and feed would come down for them, and the dogs would salivate just hearing the bell. And you've all heard, I hope, of these experiments. But now the entirety of the American public has been reduced to Pavlovian subjects, slaves on a plantation, because they just wander around looking at light boxes, waiting for their dopamine drip. Ooh, I got a like. Ooh, somebody shared my post. Ooh, boy, this is good. And I understand why people fall for the BS. It's because the American people have abdicated any responsibility for hundreds of years now. I mean, it's almost hilarious that we look back and hold, I would suppose the quote-unquote patriots, they hold so fast to these relics of the past that aren't the present. They have, you know, like the Liberty Bell, the Constitution, the American flag, they have about as much to do with the current America as, goodness gracious, as like the Aztecs have to do with the present people of Mexico. That's pretty much where we're at. Like, it's cute that everybody holds these relics so dear. Oh, it's so important. It's precious and blah, blah, blah. But, like, you're missing the whole point, folks. It was never about these relics of the past. It was about the true spirit of liberty, of freedom that existed in these people. And the Christians do the same thing, folks. It's like they cling to these relics of the past. Oh, the Bible, it's never fallible. It's 100% God made it. Like, what? It's painful to listen to. But again, like, the modern day Christian clings to these relics of the past, but they miss the actual message. Like, the message was never God is found in a church. That wasn't even a thing when Jesus Christ was on this earth, folks. Or that Jesus said, you know, it's all in the Bible. That wasn't a thing when Jesus Christ walked this earth either. Again, Jesus said, like, it's in you. Like, the church is in you. You, like the follower of Christ, the person that follows the pretext and teachings of Jesus Christ. Not the person that follows the pretext of the church, of the priest. Like, that was like antithetical to what Jesus Christ actually said. He was actually against the rabbis. He was against the Pharisees. Like, he would have never said, yeah, go along with the Pharisees, or believe the rabbi. Like, that was not what the message was. But, you know, if you look at modern day Christendom, You know, the ones that aren't like pushing trannies and having some lesbian up there doing the sermon. If you look at even the good side of it, it's still like so far removed from what it was supposed to be. And that's kind of where we are as Americans. And people are so bent on hope. Like they keep hoping like, you know, this is going to get it. This is going to pull us through. We're not going to have to get in any skin in the game. There's no Boston Tea Party. There's no Lexington and Concord. It's all going to be all right if we just elect, you know, the new plantation head. If we just elect the new King George. And back to the morals and dogma thing, like this is how it relates to the struggle sessions, though, folks. Because the caricature of the right-left that's been promulgated and pulled out as different incarnations since the 1960s exists now in this insane world of social media, and it exists now more so than ever. Because back in the day, you had print media, you had television and radio media, so you had media that actually had more of a limited scope of effect on the populace. Now, with the incarnation of social media, you have something that can affect the populace 8 days a week and twice on Sunday. People are bringing their little Pavlovian light boxes into the bathroom, into the bedroom, into the workplace. Anywhere you go, you're going to see somebody Pavlovianly pushing little buttons and waiting for their dopamine drip, folks. And they're pushing little buttons to identify with their gang. Struggle sessions, anyone? To identify with their gang and to marginalize the people on the outside of their gang. And they've all got their version of the little red book. And they're all doing their version of the struggle sessions. Be that on the right, calling everybody on the left a chowderhead, which I can't say I disagree with. And then you got on the left, you got everybody on the left calling out the right, saying racist, blah, 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 all the usual buzzwords, right? The same things out of the struggle sessions. So if you don't repeat the orthodoxy verbatim through their version of the Little Red Book, you are a heretic. You are to be shunned. You are to be screamed at and cast out like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That's what's up. So it's the right, it's the left, these two made-up caricatures of reality, and they have now been like sent into hyperspace by social media. Everywhere. It's everywhere, folks. That's really what's going on. This is the American struggle sessions. It's 8 days a week. It's twice on Sunday. There's no escape, the struggle sessions now. You can't just sit around the water cooler and talk about, oh, did you watch Cheers last night? I mean, as mundane, idiotic, and just stupefying as that was in the 1980s. As stupid as that was, there's no escape now. Because everybody, if you've missed this, you're about to witness it at every social gathering over the next 2 weeks here for Thanksgiving and then the worst holiday of all time, Christmas. You're going to see the same kind of BS. Mark my words. Feel free to comment if you think I'm BSing you. You're going to see somebody, if not everybody, at your family function say, hey, look at this clip. Hey, I got to show you this. Hey, I got to show you this. Everybody's dying to show you some manna from heaven that they think is going to change your life that you've never seen before. And 9 times out of 10, what's it doing? It's a struggle session. It's a struggle session. And you see this time and time again, especially in the cult of academia, and dare I say every job, vocation, and points in between. You see these little subtle cues. You see these little subtle questions. These subtle innuendos of people just sort of baiting you to reveal whether you're in the right or the left camp. Ooh. So you'll see these little subtle questions, just little subtleties about what do you think about this ice raid? What do you think about the blah, 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 blah. You know, this sort of stuff. And it's always bait to get you to reveal your true intentions so that they can put you in one side of the struggle session or the other side of the struggle session. And then you can combat back and forth as if this matters over the holiday table. And it's all a bunch of BS, folks. It's all contrived. It's all a caricature from at least the 1960s. It's all been co-opted. It's all COINTELPRO. It's all Operation Chaos. None of this is what you think it is. None of this is real in the sense that you think this is tangible and the reality of 3+ dimensions that we live in, because it's not. And the social media landscape is more comical now than ever, because just as we all learned that through the COVID hoax, all the people pushing the bull, all the usual suspect actors, celebrities and otherwise, were getting paid to toe the company line. So you had actors, just like in the struggle sessions, that were provocateurs pushing an agenda. And then just like the struggle sessions, you had the people that were contra to that. Well, they were the people that were deplatformed. These were the people that were persona non grata. We're never talking to them in the family. Oh my goodness, they're the devil. Okay? It's just like the struggle sessions, same parallels, folks. So you saw the first real hints of this virtue signaling nightmarish BS during the COVID hoax. And then you saw this a little bit before the COVID hoax, but I think right before the COVID hoax and then like that push through the COVID hoax, you saw the media landscape. When I say media, I'm really talking social media and, dare I say, alternative media. And when I say alternative media, that's just the mainstream media. It's just a different version of that. But you saw the same thing popping up, because just like the COINTELPRO and the Operation Chaos, they knew that the mainstream media was waning in popularity. So to counter that, they infiltrated the up-and-coming alternative media and branded and rebranded a bunch of actors and funded, most importantly, a bunch of actors to toe the company line for the other side. And you see this kind of thing all the time. I've touched on this so many times, but it's the parasocial relationship. It's this notion in psychology when people believe they have a relationship with someone. It's usually a celebrity or an actor, and it's the character that they play. So this has been shown time and time again, where you've had like radio shows where it was really pushing the envelope towards a rural audience, and they came out there and hee-haw and yuck, yuck, yuck. Turns out the people were from New York. They weren't rural. They weren't from the South. They didn't even like country. It was all a shtick. It was an act. But the vast majority of the listening audience couldn't pick up on it, couldn't see through the guys, through the malaise. It's the same relationship people have with actors. They think that just because the character that guy played for 10 years on this sitcom was such a lovely, wonderful guy, they think that's the guy, the actor, that's his real persona. It's not, folks. It's BS. So people can understand that, at least on a cursory level, but they can't understand that that same thing holds true with the media landscape, with the alternative media landscape. Because just as all these left-wing nutbags were paid to push the COVID agenda, now we see the right-wing nutbags. This has come out clear as day. They were getting this alleged, if anyone believes this $7,000 horse manure, please, folks, don't be that stupid. They're trying to say that all these big-time influencers were getting $7,000. The caveat to that is, and a whole bleep of a lot more, depending on the reach, to push the right-wing agenda. The right-wing agenda of Israel's our greatest ally. You're just an anti-Semite if you don't fall upon your feet and kiss the wall. I mean, that's where you have like Talmud Tate coming out there and just chastising anyone that even says Israel's anything but our greatest ally. That's where you have the soap opera of Charlie Kirk and the soap opera of Erica Kirk. You have these created individuals. Did anyone ever stop and think, I wonder where all these people that look the same and act the same, have the same talking points, have like the same garbage, like the most cookie cutter studios of all time. It's all the same. But people still just think, oh, yeah, this is an organic movement. And that's why I drew the parallels to the 1960s. It was the same old song. It was this big counterculture movement where everyone looked the same. Everyone sounded the same. Everyone had the same talking points, and everyone talked the same. I'll draw another one for you. The punk movement of the 1970s on into the 80s and on into today. The most unrebellious thing almost ever. Because it was a whole movement predicated on the individual, appreciating the rights of the individual and being individual. Okay, that might actually make sense, I guess, unless you looked at those bands, listened to those bands, and heard and followed their politics. It's all the same. There's no room for the individual when everyone's the same. There's no room for the individual in the studded leather jacket brigade or in the camo fatigue shorts brigade of the hardcore culture. There's no room for the individual when it's all the same. And there's no room for the individual when those that step out of orthodoxy get castigated in struggle sessions until they submit. Full circle. Boom. That's what it's all about. It's submission, to quote the Sex Pistols song. It's submission, folks. They want you to submit. And they want you to submit if you believe on the right, and they want you to submit if you believe on the left. So if you're in either one of those duopoly camps and start to step outside of orthodoxy, someone from your camp will put you in their version of the modern day struggle session until you submit or until you're just cast out. So when you look at the social media landscape specifically today, and you think, why are all these people so well funded? How do they have these big, huge followings? How do they just seem to come out of nowhere? And they're the biggest thing in the world. You know, they're the next Tom Brokaw, except they're doing it out of their studio apartment. And, you know, it's like two people, and by God, they're reaching billions of people now. You know, like, you got to wonder, how did that occur? How did some of these names happen to rise to the top and others not? How did these names and this is where I draw into the parallel to the 60s, because in the 60s, you had these quote unquote subversive elements, right? These subversive rock and roll stars that just, where'd they come from? I don't know. But they're on Ed Sullivan. They're on the Rolling Stone. They're on the Flavor of the Week. You know, they're the best. We don't know where they came from, but we know they're important. And these important subversive elements never got drafted. Never made it to Vietnam. So in the face of all that, you have to look at the right landscape that, they went through the tyranny of Biden. They went through the tyranny of Barack Hussein Obama. Barry Soetoro if you're nasty. And all these people that were deplatformed and everything else, they're still here. All these big names that just came out of nowhere to rise to status and prominence, they're all still here. So you got to kind of wonder, why? If they were such a threat, wouldn't they have been Michael Hastings? Wouldn't they have all just had bizarre accidents? Wouldn't they have all just, instead of just being deplatformed, wouldn't they have just been arrested on some fraudulent charge and swept away? Because Lord knows there's enough proof in the pudding on everybody to put us all in jail. What is that old mess you used to hear? Everybody commits like 10 felonies a day and they're not even trying. You know, some BS like that. If they want to get you, they're going to get you, folks. So they must not want to get you too darn bad. Which means, are these protected people that are put there? Like Albert Pike said, when you need a hero, we're going to give you a hero. And when that hero's no longer useful, we're going to puff and take you away. We're going to puff and take you away in a big public setting so everybody can rend garments and gnash teeth and point fingers and play the whodunit game. Their own live-action version of Clue for the next 50 blipping years, like the JFK, MLK, RFK2, John Lennon and Reagan, we almost got you. You know that? How we can all play the whodunit game for the next 50 flipping years. And then just like our parents, the tweens, teens, and would-be young adults of today, in 50 years, they can sit back and talk about, the Charlie Kirk assassination. I don't know who did it. We all thought it was this guy, but it was really that guy. Did you see the shooter in the grassy knoll? Well, I've got 4K footage of this blah, 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 blah. Okay? We ain't never going to know who did it. We ain't never going to see real justice. It's all a facade. If this guy's dead at all, if the shooter was even a real person. I got my doubts and questions on all of it. Whew. All right, folks. I've chewed on this thing for about an hour. I think I'm finished for now. You can't do everything, but you can do something. Get out there, do your part, make a difference. I'll be seeing you on Thursday at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Till then, be safe.
Thank you for listening to The Anomic Age, a John Age project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to anomicage.com. That's ANOMICAGE.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to The Anomic Age.